Folks, today we're going to talk a little bit about an exciting topic, runner's anemia. So what is runner's anemia? Why is it important? Things like that. I've been doing individual athlete coaching for I think either 4 or 5 years. Every single year, I have at least one person, if not 2 or 3, that ends up suffering from runner's anemia. And that's a really bad thing for runners. And obviously, because it's got its own name, it's very common in runners. Now, either men or women can get this. It is more common in women because women lose blood once a month that men don't lose. And you want to stay away from runner's anemia. Now, before I get any further, I should state I'm not a doctor. I don't play a doctor on TV. I'm not trying to give you medical advice, just telling you a little bit what I know about iron and running. You should be referring to your doctor for those things. So how do you know if you have this? So it's almost like overtraining. You lack energy, easy runs start feeling tough, you're listless, which is kind of lacking energy. And it's generally not going to be in running. It's going to be in any activities you just kind of feel drained and tired all the time. Those are some key symptoms that your iron levels are low and you maybe are suffering from runner's anemia. So what do you do about that? Well, iron. You got to make sure that you are getting enough iron. The best way to get enough iron is in your diet. That is number one. To tell you how important that is, when I went to my USATF certification, one of the instructors was the cross-country coach for the high school. And at his annual parents meeting, he would ask that during the cross-country season, he wanted his kids eating red meat 4 times a week because he was so concerned that they weren't going to get enough iron in the typical teenage diet. I'm not telling you need to eat red meat 4 times a week, you're vegan, whatever. But I am saying diet is the number one thing you want to do. And there's all kinds of apps you can get to track and see how much iron you're getting. But ideally, you get all your iron from your diet. Now, some multivitamins will have added iron. Some do not. I personally take a multivitamin that has some added iron on it. I get enough iron in my diet because I do track it from time to time. But it's just a safeguard. I want that little bit of extra iron in my multivitamin. I don't see an issue with that. Now, there is something that could be an issue. There are also iron supplements out there, like taking an iron pill, if you will. Caution, danger, Will Robinson, although I probably date myself with that phrase. You should not be taking iron supplements unless you have talked with your doctor and your doctor has recommended doing that. Getting too much iron, which can happen if you're taking a supplement, is got some dangerous consequences. You don't want to be low on iron, but you don't want too much either. So try and get your iron through your diet. I don't see a problem if you take a multivitamin that has a little bit of iron in it. So I'm going to give an example. There's multiple reasons why iron is important. But one of the best ones I got, again, at that same USATF, the same coach, he gave us an example or an analogy, if you will, of why the iron was important. And he said, take a bowl. So imagine this bowl is a red blood cell, because the red blood cells are what carry oxygen to your muscles. And this egg is a little globule of oxygen, if you will. Well, each red blood cell should hold 4 little globules of oxygen and be transporting those to your muscles. Iron is kind of the glue that holds that oxygen in there so the red blood cell can deliver it. If you don't have enough iron, that blood cell can't take 4 globules. Maybe it's going to take 3, maybe it's going to get 2, but that's where you're tired and listless. You're not getting enough oxygen to your blood, or oxygen to the muscles. Now, as I said, there's other things as well. The lifespan of red blood cells is shortened, but you don't need to know any of that. What you really need to know is iron is really, really important. You got to make sure, excuse me, that you get enough of it. You may have also heard about ferritin. Ferritin is something that most runners should get checked. They really recommend you don't need to check ferritin unless you're running more than 55, 60 miles per week, but there's no harm in getting it checked otherwise. You would have to ask your doctor specifically to check that. It's not part of a routine blood test. Ferritin is simply the iron storage protein. It's talking about your iron stores in your body. It's got a really wide range, typically between 15 and 180, and I've seen other ranges as well. It depends what you look at, but what you really know is it's a really big range. There's also, depending who you talk to, different views on what's the right amount for an endurance athlete. So some people say, well, if you're an endurance athlete, you want to be higher. Higher is better. Other people say, no, as long as you're in the range, it really doesn't matter. I can tell you that my ferritin, both times I've had it checked recently, has been 28. My doctor is a marathon runner. He is not concerned about it being 28, nor have I had any of the runner's anemia symptoms. So I'm kind of the belief that you just want to be in the range, probably not 15, but you don't have to worry about getting to 50, 60, 80. Again, if your doctor wants something different, you should certainly listen to your doctor. But getting ferritin checked, once or twice a year, especially if you're high mileage, is another way to stay on top of iron. So in short, iron is very important to your running. Don't leave home without it.